Are you an healthcare worker looking to relocate to Canada to further your career goals? Then I've got amazing news for you, as Canada is inviting healthcare workers in the first ever occupation specific express entry draws. And really, I cannot wait to tell you guys all about it. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into today's video. Welcome back, guys. If you're new here, my name is Temitope Adesanya. A lot of people here know me as Temi, and if you're new here, you're welcome to my channel, Healthcare with Temi. In this space, I shoot content all about trending healthcare topics, but lately it's also been a lot on how to transition into different healthcare careers here in Canada. And a lot of focus for the past 2 months, 2 to 3 months, has been in opportunities that have been springing up for healthcare professionals to transition or to think about relocating to Canada. And today is another one, and it's a pretty big one because it's not specific, it's really broad, it really encompasses a lot of healthcare careers, and that is what we're going to be talking about today. So if that is the kind of content that you're into and that you want to know more about, kindly subscribe to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy watching the video or if you gain some information from it. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you could be there among the first that will be notified as soon as a video drops. So guys, let's get right into what this video is really about. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a new initiative that just started. This is the month of July. It started late June, where the Canada Express Entry is starting something called occupation specific draws, occupation specific express entry draws, which is basically what they are trying to do right now, what the government of Canada is trying to do right now as regards to immigration, is they are focusing on careers that are needed. The specific careers that they need right now is what they are actually focusing on, as opposed to 3-4 years ago, when it was everybody. As soon as you have the marks that hits the cutoff points per draw, you could just come in. So now they are trying to focus on what they need. They're trying to focus on the careers they need. They're trying to focus on the languages that they need, and they are doing that now. And that is the new initiative that the Canada Express Entry is going through right now, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So in today's video, we're going to give a bit of background on what this initiative is about. We're going to talk about the healthcare careers that have been chosen in the healthcare specific occupations, and then we are also going to be talking about the eligibility criteria and how you can position yourself. You guys know that I'm all about positioning yourself right to meet opportunities. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so guys, I'm going to be giving you a bit of background as to what this initiative is about. Now, when it comes to express entry, and by the way, guys, I already shot a series of 3 videos with somebody that is really knowledgeable in this field, and she went into details on, the federal skilled worker program, the provincial nomination, the student visa pathway. And so if you want to know more about that, I'm going to be dropping them across the screen during this video, and you can also go, and I'll go to putting the links in my description, and you can also check my videos to know more about that. Okay, so to give you guys a background, when it comes to the Canada Express Entry, which is like the major way through which people migrate or relocate to Canada. When it comes to the express entry, there are 3 different pathways under the express entry. We have the federal skilled worker, which is the common pathway that a lot of professionals use. That was what I used to come in. And then we have something called the Canadian experience class. So this one is for people that have Canadian work experience. So for example, somebody comes into Canada as a student, and after their education, they are considering staying back in Canada, and probably while they were getting their master's degree or their diploma or whatever it is that they came to pursue, they actually got work experience in Canada. So people in this category most times are the ones that fit into that Canadian experience class. And then the 3rd class under express entry is Federal Skilled Trades Program. This one is a bit less common, but it has to do with also a bit of occupation specific, a bit of will I say, non-technical roles are the ones that usually fall under this Federal Skilled Trades Program. So those are the three programs under the Express Entry. And the most common is usually the Federal Skilled Worker. And if you want to know more about that, I already shot a video on that. So please do well to watch it. It gives you a bit of more background. Okay. So I already talked about this a little bit in the introduction as regards the initiative. So now we already know what the three Express Entry pathways used to be, but now what they are doing right now is that they want to be more focused on the occupations that they need, because the goal is to boost the economy, the Canadian economy. So they want to focus on the specific careers that they need, like I said earlier, and that's what brought them into this occupation. It's actually called occupation specific Express Entry draws. Now, healthcare occupation is not the only one in this category. Actually, there is the healthcare occupations, there is the STEM occupations, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. There is the trade occupations, there is the transport occupations, there is the agriculture and agri-food occupations, and there is the French language proficiency category. So those are the different categories now that they want to be focusing on in terms of draws. Okay, if you want to know more about how calculating of the CRS score and all of that bit, I already discussed that in the Federal Skilled Worker video, so please go back to that so that you could gain more understanding. Okay, so now in this video I'm going to be focusing on the healthcare occupations category, because this is healthcare with Timmy, right? And so that's our focus here. But if you want to know more about that, you can go to the website. I'm going to be dropping the link, and you can go and see the careers that are available in the other categories. So let's jump right into the eligibility criteria. All right, guys, into the eligibility criteria. So the very first, to be eligible to be invited. Now, let me give a little bit of background, and we already talked about this in that previous video, so please go do well to do that. For you to even get invited, so when we talk about invitation, that means you are getting invited to apply for permanent residence or permanent residency. You're getting invited to apply for permanent residence or residency. Anyway, so that's what an invitation is. So it's always called an ITA. That's invitation to apply for PR status. Okay, so now for you to even be eligible for this category base, before we channel it down to healthcare occupations, for you to be eligible to be in this category based round, you have to meet the minimum criteria for express entry. So the minimum criteria for express entry in itself, and you guys, as I'm talking, I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm getting this information directly from the IRCC website. So I'm going to put a screenshot on the screen just as I'm talking about it. So for you to even be eligible to even say, oh, I want to go into this category-based express entry draws, you need to meet the minimum criteria for express entry, because remember, this is a new initiative under the Express Entry program. And so what is the minimum criteria for Express Entry? We are talking about three things. Your English proficiency. Yes, you have to do IELTS. Or I think there's another one called CLB. I don't know too much about that one, but the most common is the IELTS. You have to do IELTS. Number two is that your education, there needs to be an evaluation of your background education. So if, for example, you're a nurse coming under one of the occupations, I think it's nursing or a midwife, for example, or you're a doctor, because family physicians are also under the occupation, and I'll be listing the occupations soon. You need to get your bachelor's degree evaluated. That's the only evidence that they can see that shows that you actually had an education in this occupation and that you have gotten that credentials evaluated. And this evaluation is done by evaluating bodies here in Canada. So you would have to look into the evaluating body for your profession. For a lot of times, you could use the general ones like WES, which is the common one. But sometimes if it's a regulated profession in Canada, they would want you to do it under the examining body of your career here in Canada. So for example, pharmacist, for example, when I was doing mine, I was not allowed to use WES for my document evaluation. So when I tried to enter the express entry pool, there was this pop-up that came out saying that because I'm in a regulated profession in Canada, I have to go through the examining body of pharmacy here in Canada. I couldn't just use any evaluating organization. Okay, so make sure that you are doing your fact checking to be sure that maybe West is good for you before you go and pay the money for West. Okay, so that's the number 2. You must get your document evaluated. And the very third thing is that you must have work experience. So these are the 3 minimum criteria for the express entry in itself. Okay, so remember your IELTS English proficiency. We're going to be talking about how you can position yourself right so that you stand a good chance, right? IELTS, get your document evaluated, have experience in the field that you're claiming to be, and then you are eligible to go into the express entry pool. Let us funnel it down to the healthcare occupations category. We've already talked about the minimum eligibility criteria for the express entry. Now let us talk about, now you've seen that, oh, I'm good to go into the pool. But you now need to ask yourself, am I going to stand a good chance for the healthcare occupation category? And so what is the criteria? Guys, pretty simple, as I'm sure you can see on the screen. The criteria for that one is that you must have accumulated within the past 3 years. Within the past 3 years, not somebody that has retired from service 10 years ago. Within the past 3 years, you must have accumulated at least 6 months of continuous work experience, either in Canada or abroad, meaning outside of Canada. You must have accumulated at least 6 months in a single occupation that is listed in the table below. And then we're going to be talking about those occupations right now. But you guys, that is the criteria. So if you're out there and I mention your occupation among this category, in this healthcare occupation category, what's the next step? Is for you to go and get your IELTS, is for you to go and get your document evaluated and enter the pool. So next up now, we're going to be listing the healthcare occupations that are in this category-based express entry jobs. So what are the healthcare jobs targeted by the express entry? I'm going to be putting screenshots across the screen. There's also a link in the description for you to see it yourself. And I'm going to be going through it pretty fast. So just watch on the screen, basically, to be listed on the screen. So we have audiologists and speech language pathologists, chiropractors, dentists, dietitians and nutritionists, education counselors, general practitioners and family physicians. This is for the doctors. Instructors of persons with disabilities, kinesiologists and other professional occupation in therapy and assessment, licensed practical nurses for my LPNs, massage therapists, medical laboratory assistants and related technical occupations, medical laboratory technologists, medical radiation technologists, medical sonographers, nurse aides, nurse orderlies, patient service associates, nurse practitioners, so many things for nurses here, nursing coordinators and supervisors, occupational therapists, optometrists, other assisting occupations in support of health services, other practitioners of natural healing, other professional occupations in health diagnosing and treating, other technical occupations in therapy and assessment, paramedics, so all the paramedical occupations, pharmacy technical assistants, pharmacy assistants, physician assistants, midwives, and allied health professionals, physiotherapists, psychologists, registered nurses, registered psychiatric nurses, respiratory therapists, clinical perfusionists and cardiopulmonary technologists, specialists in clinical and laboratory medicine, specialists in surgery, therapists in counseling and related specialized therapies, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners and acupuncturists, and veterinarians. Okay, so those are the healthcare occupations that are targeted in this category-based express entry draws. Okay, so we've already talked about the eligibility criteria. If you missed any, if you want to be sure that if your career is among them or not, just click in the link. I titled all the links in the description. Just click in the link in the description and you can see the list for yourself. Okay, so those are the careers, because when I came here the last time to talk about like pathways that opened up for nurses, I had people reach out to me that were midwives, that were worried that they didn't qualify. You had your career right, midwives. I had people that reached out to me that were psychiatric nurses that had like a postgraduate degree in psychiatry nursing. You're right here. Doctors, family physicians, you're right here. Dentists, you're right here. Optometrists, you're right here. Sadly, my lovely profession, pharmacists or pharmacy, is not here. Although there are pharmacy, there is pharmacy technical assistants and pharmacy assistants. So pharmacy assistants can apply, and if you're a pharmacy technical assistant, you can also apply. But there right now, pharmacists was not listed amongst, and I think I know the reason why. I'm going to be talking about that as I round off the video. So these are the careers that are being targeted right now. As of, I'm shooting this video July of 2023. These are the careers that are being targeted right now. Right? So what is the next step for you? If I mentioned your career, what is the next step? The next step is that you need to show them that you have the eligibility criteria, which we already talked about. You need to have your English proficiency results. And major tip right now, I'm dropping tips on how you can go into the process, and I'm dropping tips on how you can position yourself right. So the first thing is you need to get your IELTS result. And like my guest on the series we did on the federal skilled worker told us in that video, she said, shoot for the highest score possible. Aim for the highest score possible. Don't limit yourself to 777. In that video, we already talked about how your scores influences your total score. Okay, so I think at this point I should tell you how it works, right? So basically what happens is when you go into the portal and you try to create a profile, or prior to that, there's something called a CRS calculator, right? So CRS is comprehensive ranking system. Now this pool, we've been talking about pool, we've been talking about draws. The way it works is that every 2 weeks, or sometimes the frequency may be a bit more than that or lesser than that, they do something called an express entry draw. So they go into the pool and they come up with a score. So they could come up with a score like 450. And basically what happens is that when you put all your responses together, you put your IELTS results in the calculator, you put your age in the calculator, you put your career in the calculator, you put your work experience in the calculator, you put all of those things. It puts all those factors together, and then it gives you a score. So now you know your score, and then you go into the pool and you are waiting in the pool. And so what then happens is every 2 weeks or even more or less, express entry, they go into the pool, they come up with, like, I like to call it a cutoff score. So for example, the cutoff score could be 450. And so they will say that people that their score is above 450 now have the invitation to apply. So you have the invitation to apply, and then you start off the process of applying for your permanent resident status. So that's the way this whole score thing works. It's all dependent on factors in that. When you put in your information in the calculator, it will ask you for your age, it will ask you for your occupation, your work experience, your IELTS result, if you have evaluated your credential from your bachelor degree, whatever occupation it is that you are claiming, have you evaluated that? It will ask you if you have a relative in Canada. It would ask you the years of work experience, duration of work experience. Those are the factors that come together to then determine what your overall score is. So now you've met the minimum criteria. I've mentioned your career. What next? Go and do what will I call it now? Go and try to know what your score is. Okay, go into, I put the link there. I think I titled it calculating your CRS score, something like that. Go in there, put in all your information, and then at the end of it is going to tell you what your score is. Now, you seeing your score does not automatically mean you're in the profile. So after you see your score, then you go and click the link that is going to take you to creating an express entry profile. And then you create your profile, like you are actually creating your actual profile. At this point, it's going to ask you for your name, your first name, your last name, your date of birth. It's going to ask you like much more personal details in addition to those factors we talked about. And then it will still show you your score at the very end, and then you submit your profile. And that's what puts you in the pool. You calculating your score on the CRS calculator, that is not what puts you in the pool. You actually creating a profile and getting a confirmatory email that you've created a profile and you're now in the pool, that is what puts you in the pool. So that is the next step. After you've heard me list your career here, you've met all the minimum criteria, you've evaluated your documents, IELTS and all of that, you have the work experience. The next step is to go into the pool, just like I explained. Yeah, that's it. So I'm looking down because, guys, I'm looking at the website, I'm looking at my tablet, and I want to be sure that I'm giving you guys the right information. Okay, so now that we're talking about the scores, and I'm going to put an image of this right here. So this is what we are noticing with this occupation specific express entry draws. The cutoff scores are much lower, and now the general express entry scores are increasing, and I will show you an example on the screen right now. So this, I'm going to put it on both sides of the screen or maybe on top of each other somewhere. These are the last two draws that happened within the last 2 weeks, and you can see the dates there. The very first one for healthcare occupations was done on the 28th of June 2023, and the cutoff score was 476. You can see the screenshot on the screen. And then another one was done on the 6th of July, and the cutoff reduced, and it's 463. You can see it on the screen. Canada Express Entry Draw, healthcare category. 1,500 candidates were invited to apply. So you can see that with this occupation based, the score seems, because I don't work for IRCC, guys, the score seems to be much lower. And this is case in point. Now on the screen, I'm going to put a picture of the last express entry draw that was done for just the general one, not occupation specific, just general for people that are just in the pool. The score was 511, guys. 511. That is a pretty high score. And can you see that they were only able to invite 700 candidates? And I'm pretty sure that these 700 candidates, maybe some of them went to go and do French or something to really increase their score, or maybe some of them are really young, because for you to get a score of 511, that is really, really high, So what I'm noticing, or what people are beginning to notice, is that this occupation specific ones, because you guys, they need these occupations, so they are willing to actually, did you see that the eligibility was 6 months? They are willing to actually reduce certain things just to allow those people to come in. And at this point, I would like to share some tips that I feel may be helpful. And number one is, please don't get discouraged if you put your factors in the calculator and your score is low. Your score will likely be low if you are above the age of 35 or thereabouts. And that's just the fact. And they do know that the people that they are in this occupation base are likely older. And I believe that that's why the draw points are much lesser. So I will tell you, do not get discouraged because, maybe you put it in there and maybe your score was 420 and you're already feeling bad. You don't know if they'll call me. This score is low. Maybe it's not even worth it for me to go and do IELTS. It's not worth it. No, go ahead. Put in your best for your IELTS. And I know a lot of people get scared of doing IELTS. I understand that. I was also in that same shoes when I wanted to take my exams. Maybe I'll share that story another day, so I don't digress. But I do believe that if you put in your best, put God ahead of you, most importantly, and put in your best. Prepare like you are preparing for a professional exam, because you know that your score increasing is dependent largely on you scoring really good grades in your IELTS. I know people personally that got 9, 8, 8.5, 8.5. It is possible. It is very possible. I just want to encourage you that, don't get discouraged, because a score that went from 476 and then the recent one last week was 463. Who says that this score cannot drop below 450 in the coming months? We don't know. But you would ruin your chances if you don't even go ahead, because you checked your score and you're like, I don't think I should even bother. There's this quote or something that says that when opportunity meets preparation, that equates to success. But you need to be prepared. You need to position yourself right and put yourself in a position where an opportunity comes, you are grabbing it and you are just going for it. Okay. My number 2 tip that I would like to share is that if I did not mention the career, it's not even dependent on me. If the career was not listed amongst this one, please don't give up. If you are interested in relocating to Canada, my advice, which is what I tell my own personal friends and family in Nigeria, I tell them, get your document evaluated, do your IELTS, and sit in the pool. Sitting in the pool does 2 things for you, and I'll be wrapping up the video soon. Sitting in the pool does 2 things for you. Number 1, you are ready if any position comes. You are ready if, for example, they decide to include your career in the next 6 months. You are ready. You are already there. You are sitting in the pool. You are there. You are ready. That's number 1 thing. If an opportunity comes up with this same occupation based categories, right? If an opportunity comes up and your career is for any reason included, you are there. Number 2 thing that being in the pool does an advantage, even if your career is not listed right now, is that you can apply for provincial nomination. And I would like to send this to my pharmacists out there. You can apply for provincial nomination. If you want to know more about that, please watch the video that I made on that one so that I don't have to lengthen this one. Now that you're in the pool, you've done your evaluation, you've done your IELTS, and you're sitting in the pool, you can then start shooting your shots, just like Debbie said in that video. Looking at provinces, a lot of provinces that do provincial nominee program has pharmacists listed. A lot of them. You look about places like Manitoba, Winnipeg, look at places like Ontario. They constantly have pharmacists listed in their provincial nominee program. So don't get discouraged like, oh, well, my career is not there. Oh, I'll just wait for another time. When another time now comes and an expedited pathway comes for your career, you don't have IELTS, you don't have your documents evaluated, you're not prepared. But if you've already done it and you're sitting there, you are prepared and you're just waiting for an opportunity. What's the worst that can happen from you sitting in the pool is that maybe your IELTS result expires, and IELTS result validity is 2 years. Majority of the time, something would have opened up for you before that 2 years comes. Because the truth is, when you are in the pool, you yourself, you are more sensitized to looking out for opportunities. Because now you know that, okay, I have IELTS, I have my document evaluated, let me start looking for what is out there for my field. You yourself there will be more hunger to actually look for something else. So I just wanted to share those things for people that may get discouraged. So I think I've shared everything about this. And if your career is here, please don't wait. Please don't wait, especially for my nurses. Shout out to my nurses who have made 2 videos on expedited pathways that opened up for them. So people have reached out to me, oh, the Alberta Health Services sponsorship one has closed. Okay, look into this one. Nurse practitioners are listed, midwives are listed. I think, let me just be sure I'm saying the right thing now. You guys, I'm just trying to be sure that I'm saying the right thing. Registered nurses are listed, nurse practitioners are listed, registered psychiatric nurses are there, nurse orderlies are there, nurse aides are there. So start getting prepared. Start getting prepared. Give yourself a timeline. Because as some people will ask me, oh, when does this end? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. For them to have done this at this point in time, they are looking at a specific number. And when they hit that number, you may just start seeing that the cutoff drop point has started increasing. Like I said, I'm not saying this on behalf of IRCC, but we don't know. So take advantage now and start getting prepared. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes to be sure that I didn't leave anything out. So I'm going to leave the links in the description. I'm going to leave the links on how you can calculate your score. I'm going to leave the link to how you can create an express entry profile to enter the pool. I'm also going to leave the link to this information I gave you here today, where I shared the screenshot of the eligibility criteria, all of that. I'm going to leave the link in the description so that you can do your own fact checking for yourself. And honestly, I wish everyone who has their occupation listed in this category, I wish you the very best. Please don't waste time. Don't waste time. Draw a timeline for yourself, a timeline on how you're going to get your document evaluated, a timeline on when you're going to have you're going to write your IELTS exams, and just go enter the pool. Please go enter the pool. Okay, I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video, and I want to give a special appreciation for everyone for supporting. People have sent messages of encouragement. People have sent prayers. Thank you so much. I just want you to know that I appreciate you all. I see it and I appreciate it. Thank you so much and God bless you abundantly. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, okay? And also, if you know of anyone that would benefit from this information, don't forget to share, okay? If you're not subscribed and this kind of content is what you're all about or what you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out, okay? Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I remain ever grateful. Thank you and have a great week, I guess, depending on what day you're watching this. Take care. Bye.